Today on Treasure Hunting America, we'll meet Nina, an energetic treasure hunter who's had incredible luck finding Civil War items from her own backyard.
Most of the Army of the Potomac came through here, and they were camped here before the Battle of Gettysburg, and on the way out, they came back through. Found a lot of things, have no idea what they are. And my little boy had played in the dirt. Logan apparently had found a CS belt buckle. We didn't know that at the time.
And we'll also visit with high school teacher and archaeologist David Wilson, who looks for artifacts in Virginia dating back to his great-great-grandfather's service with the Confederate States.
I actually grew up, hearing stories about how my grandfather would plow up cannonballs and bayonets. It's a great hobby, and it's potentially very lucrative. It, at times, has put bread on the table for me. I know of some people who have definitely made a living off of it.
All coming up on Treasure Hunting America. Hello and welcome to another episode of Treasure Hunting America. I'm your host, Mark Hendricks. For the next half hour, we'll share some amazing stories of everyday treasure hunters across the country. At first glance, Nina isn't what you'd expect in an avid treasure hunter, but after her 3-year-old son found a $5,000 Confederate belt plate deep in his sandbox, she was hooked.
The way I got started into metal detecting was out back here at my house. We were digging a fish pond, and my little boy had played in the dirt. He had something, he kept burying it, and then he would dig it up, rebury it, dig it up. So that evening, we had come in, I was doing laundry, and I heard something in the wash machine. It was making a noise, so I stopped the washer. I pulled it out, and I saw the CS, and I was like, oh my, where did you get this? And he said he found it in the dirt. So from that point on, basically, I've just been overwhelmed with the whole idea of finding things. I had no idea how much it was worth or anything like that. I was told it's up to about 5,000. We start to find buttons and coins. Found a lot of things, have no idea what they are. When I got my metal detector, I dug everything. We're so close to Gettysburg, and the Civil War soldiers, they did come through this area, and they were camped here before the Battle of Gettysburg, and on the way out, they came back through. I did a little research, and I found it was the 1st, the 3rd, and the 11th Corps that were actually camped here. This is actually what got me started in the world of metal detecting. It is a CS belt buckle. This is actually part of a 2-piece belt buckle. This is called the tongue, and there's another section that goes around which is called the wreath. And the CS stands for Confederate States. I love to get my hands dirty. I don't mind it at all. I'd rather get my hands dirty than do housework. I hate housework. It's so much fun. And when I get out there, all my worries and problems, they leave my body. A lot of people probably wouldn't believe this, but I have actually lost 30 pounds metal detecting. Once you start finding things, you know you've got a good area, you don't want to stop. You just want to keep going. I always feel as though I'm going to find the mother lode. One day I'm going to hit it. I know it. It's out there somewhere. It's very addicting. The way this has changed my life, I had been in a really bad marriage. I had lost my self-esteem, had nothing to look forward to. And once I started to metal detect, I felt good about myself. I started finding all these really neat things, and then I shared it with my friends and my family, and A lot of people, I believe, were intrigued by the fact that I was a woman and I got out there and I was doing all these things and going here and going there, and that's changed my life. The whole concept of metal detecting, it is now my life.
When we return, Nina will show us her favorite finds, a collection of Gardner explosive bullets. Welcome back to Treasure Hunting America. With just a few years into the hobby, Nina has had incredible luck with her finds. Some treasure hunters with a lot more experience than her have become a little envious of her amazing treasure trove.
There are a lot of guys around here that metal detect, and as far as I know, I'm kind of like the only woman in this area that's really into it. I don't want to sound egotistical or anything like that, but they are envious of me, I know it. I had been in a shop in Gettysburg showing my find, and I heard another guy from the same area where I live, he was there, and he goes, I don't know who she is and I don't know where she's finding this stuff. So I was like, wow, you know, with the attitude. I know I've been followed before. I've actually have worn my father's old camouflage hunting archery outfit to try to stay undercover. So there are guys who are fanatics when it comes to metal detecting. So I've come to a location today where I believe this is a very old property. The buildings are old. I would say this house is possibly maybe built in the mid-1800s. I contacted the landowner, and this property is posted no trespassing, but fortunately for me, he has given me permission. So hopefully we're going to find something today and I'll be proud. I'd love to go in the basement of this old house, but I promised the owner that I would not go into the house, so. Okay, we got a good hit. It's not very deep. Normally when it's not so deep, it's nothing good. And that's just, looks like some kind of metal box. Not sure. I know that the soldiers carried, it was like a box they kept their bullets in. I believe it was a metal box. So it could be remnants of one of those. Not sure. The first time I went out, I found it's what you call a Gardner explosive bullet. And it was actually the first bullet I found, and I had no idea what it was. And I carried it around with me for about 2 weeks. These are the Gardner explosive bullets. And as you can see, these are a different color. The white are made of lead, and these bullets are actually made of zinc and pewter. On the bottom of these bullets, this supposedly is a copper, somewhat cylinder inside, and the gunpowder was packed up in here. So on the bottom, there's also the person's name that invented them. His name was something or another, Gardner, and I believe the patent date is like 1861 or something like that. Don't quote me. There have been guys that told me they've hunted for like 30, 35 years and have never found one. And I was lucky enough to find 13. They are a very rare bullet from what I understand. And they were used during the Battle of Gettysburg, and I believe they were a type of experimental bullet. And when the person would shoot the weapon, their gun, sometimes the bullet would blow up and that person would get hurt. So they banned that bullet, and there aren't a whole lot around. I heard they will go anywhere from 300 up. I know there is another caliber, I believe it's a 58 caliber, the Gardners, and from what I understand, they go for like $1,200 and more. I started going to relic shows, Civil War shows, and that sort of thing. And of course, I picked their brains. Play the dumb blonde. Everyone wants to buy them. I did let one go for a little bit of, I don't know, I think it was like $150 or something like that. But now I realize they're worth more. The reason I do this is because when I get out there, I get such a great peace of mind just being outside. I've been in the thickets too. Believe me, that's pretty rough. But just being outside, it's great to get out there, the fresh air, the exercise, the intrigue of finding something. It's a good number. So I pinpoint, and I do like an X mark. Okay, it says 1.5 inches. So what I try to do is dig away from the center, so if it's something good, I don't damage it. Oh, it's a spoon, but it's a modern day spoon. So, World Stainless. Looks like World Stainless. Not good. But there could still be something else there. So I recheck my hole. Nope. Make sure you cover your holes. Now these are two more items that I recently found. This of course is lead. It would have been melted down, and what they would have used this for, I have no idea. Maybe a whistle? But here, this here is really interesting. I've never found anything like this. And it's probably a small caliber bullet. There is the Roman numerals XVL. I mean, you know each letter. This is what the X is 10, the V is 5, and L, I believe, is 50. So 1550? I don't know. I've only been doing this a short time. And in such a short time, I found a lot of neat things. A lot of junk too. I dig everything. It's hard to say really which are my best finds because everything to me is like a best find. I will be doing this as long as I can walk. I will always be metal detecting. As long as my back doesn't go out, I'll be just fine.
When we return, we'll meet David Wilson, an archaeologist and high school teacher whose passion is finding Civil War relics. Welcome back to Treasure Hunting America. With his roots deep in Virginia's history, David Wilson lives right in the path of Lee's Retreat near Sailors Creek Battle Park. With a degree in archaeology, he has amassed quite a collection of artifacts from his own backyard.
I got started relic hunting because I've always been extremely interested in history, and archaeology has thoroughly fascinated me. I actually majored in anthropology, specifically archaeology, when I went to school, and by the time I got out, I had a major as well in history and a minor in philosophy for, whatever that does. I actually grew up, hearing stories about how my grandfather would plow up cannonballs and bayonets and things like that, and I've always been aware that there was, significant action in this area. Metal detecting for me is kind of a natural extension of the interest that I had anyways in military history as well as in archaeology. It fits together pretty well. Piece of grape shot. This area is right along Lee's Retreat from Petersburg to Appomattox, and right down the road from where I live is Sailors Creek Battlefield Park. And it was, the last major engagement of the Civil War. And I've known about that for years. I've gone down and visited the site for years, and I realized from talking to other people in the area about things that they'd found, to be able to go out even in your own yard and dig up artifacts and buttons and things like that, it was almost a religious experience when that first happened. This case is an example of the buttons that I found in one particular area. There was an old tobacco inspection port on the Appomattox River called Jamestown when the bateau used to run. It was a settlement. There were several girls' schools, several taverns, and it was a thriving little community before the railroad came through in 1854. The railroad missed Jamestown. There's nothing left now except house sites, ruins, and things like that. But if you have a metal detector, you can go out, and almost all of these are buttons that I have found around the house sites and the taverns there at Jamestown.
Many generations of David's family have lived in the Rice, Virginia area, close to Sailors Creek Battle Park.
I am surrounded by great areas to hunt. I can go, several miles in any direction, and I can find artifacts. I'm located in a very, very good spot. I'm fortunate in that regard, in that my father bought property right in this area about 30 or 40 years ago. So it's been easy for me to go out literally in the yard and dig up buttons and many balls and things like that. And digging something up out of your yard, because you realize, hey, these people were literally in my yard and they were literally fighting each other in my yard. And it's just, once again, it's just fascinating.
When we return, David will show us some of his most effective research tools and the danger of buying counterfeit relics.
Some of the greatest tools, or the most effective tools that I've used in my relic hunting, begin with several sources. One, I've got a copy of the official military atlas of the Civil War that has maps for virtually all of the major campaigns and battles, including Lee's retreat to Appomattox. Another invaluable source for information is this. This is the official records on the War of the Rebellion of the Union and Confederate armies. There are between 250 and 300 accounts of the fighting that took place in this particular area that were written by the people who actually fought there. This has been a tremendously valuable research tool. One other piece of information that I use, topographic maps. And this is just a copy of the one in the area. Literally, I've got maps that I have plotted all of my major finds on. And I can pick up the map and I can look at it, and you can detect patterns as far as artifact dispersal. What you see in front of you here is an example of earthworks. In this particular case, it's roughly a squared fort where they had artillery pieces located in here. The fort was probably completed sometime during the Civil War. At this particular fort, when the Union forces came through here right after Sailors Creek, they found at least 5 artillery pieces still in the fort, as well as dozens of cannonballs and shells and other pieces of ordnance like that. Unfortunately, over the years, places like this have been hunted out. There's very little left to find. Metal detecting itself, I think, is a wonderful hobby. Whether or not you're looking for Civil War relics, or if you're coin shooting or looking for jewelry or something like that, it's a great hobby. I mean, and it's potentially very lucrative. It, at times, has put bread on the table for me. I know of some people who have definitely made a living off of it. It's great physical activity. I love being outdoors myself, and it's an excuse to be outdoors. These iron objects here, iron balls actually, what they are called grape shot. They were used by both sides. They would be packed into cannons, and the cannon would be discharged like a giant shotgun to devastating effect. They're usually fired in what they call stands, to where there might be several dozen fired at once that would splinter out, much like a shotgun would do if you were out hunting game.
Because this hobby can be very lucrative, one has to be wise in knowing which relics are genuine and which are unauthorized replicas.
Some of the Civil War artifacts that you find can be extremely valuable, especially if they are rarer items. Unfortunately, because of the value of some artifacts, some people have counterfeited artifacts, newly manufactured them, and soaked them in acid or buried them for a couple years or something like that to where they look like the original thing, and then have passed them off and sold them as the original thing. This isn't an example. For most people, they would say, well, you've got a Confederate States belt buckle worth anywhere from $800 to $1,000. I paid $6 for this buckle. When I bought it, it looked like this. From a little bit of treatment, it looks like this. And unfortunately, because of the value of a lot of these artifacts, you really have to be careful when you go out and you buy artifacts, especially if they are high-end or valuable artifacts. The ultimate find for me would probably be like a Virginia State Seal sword belt plate. I seriously doubt if I'm going to find one, but it would be something that I would really love to have. Confederate forces just habitually used Union equipment that was captured on the battlefields and other places. They were able to recover, items and use for themselves. The historical value for me is what's the payoff, and that I might talk about items in terms of their value as far as monetarily. The historical value is something different, and I rate that much higher than the monetary value. I actually thought that I was going to be getting out of this several years ago. I realized that this is so much in my blood now that I expect I'll probably be relic hunting as long as I can still walk.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Treasure Hunting America. Be with us next time as we explore more stories of everyday treasure hunters around the country. Until next time, I'm Mark Hendricks. Happy hunting! Treasure Hunting America is sponsored by White's Electronics, manufacturers of the world's finest metal detectors. For over 50 years, White's has been building metal detectors in the USA for treasure hunters around the world. For more information, visit their website or call the number on your screen.